So again, my name is Ken Delatorre with Design and Settlement Consultants. We are the land planners that were hired on behalf of Mattamy to process the Forest Oaks residential golf course community. Many will recognize me from some of the last meetings that we've had in the past. The purpose of tonight's meeting is just to give you an update on where we are with the application at the county, and then number two, give you another update on another application that's being processed by Special District Services, and Mike with Special District is here tonight to talk about that application specifically. So I'm going to be really brief. I'd rather get to your questions because I know that there's a lot of rumors swirling around, and we're here to answer any questions you may have. So first of all, this is the master plan that you all will recognize that was approved in October of last year by Board of County Commission. So, and that was in October of last year. So since that Board of County Commission approval, what we've done is we've taken the next step with the application process. So what that means is we filed 3 different applications with Palm Beach County in their final subdivision application. So the first is the northernmost neighborhood, which is Pod A. The second is Pod B, and the last is this in the color down the south here, which is Pod C. So these applications, what they do is they take the next step, which is you may remember that I referred to that last time we met, and what that does is basically gets right down to the fine details of the plan. Locates the sidewalks, where the roadways, the pavements are, there's going to be located, where all the buildings are going to be located. So we submitted that in February of this year, okay? So we've gotten our first round of comments since from all the different departments in Palm Beach County: survey, environmental resource, engineering, and we've submitted one more time, and we just got last week our next round of comments. So we're still knee deep into the process with Palm Beach County. With this application, our engineers are also filing the construction plans. So all the plans that show the drainage infrastructure, where the pipes are going to be located, all the grading, all the paving, all those hard details are being reviewed by Palm Beach County prior to issuing any permits. In addition to that, the other application is the plat. And the plat is basically the one that subdivides the entire property into all of these lots, so that way Mattamy can sell to the homeowners. So our goal right now is to get these applications approved by late summer this year. So that being said, our goal, best case scenario, is Mattamy will be starting construction either early fall or late summer of this year. So that's the like I said, late summer is the best case scenario. Fall is the worst case scenario when they'll start construction. So one thing that we're going to work on is, I've had a couple comments, some folks told me that the website has not been updated. So what we're going to do is, I have with me here, if anybody wants to look at them after the meeting, all 3 subdivision plans, so that way you can see that there is consistency with what was approved by the Board of County Commission. I can't change this map in any way. I can tweak it to address engineering comments, but with regards to where the buildings are located, where the Board of County Commission approved them, that's where they have to stay, essentially. So, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to post these plans to the website. But like I said, if I have them here, if anybody has any questions. So with that, what I'll do is I'll pass it off to Mike to discuss the other application that's being processed at the county that we're not working on, but Special District Services. And I can take questions at the end, just in case you have any questions with him.
If you want to take questions now while you're fresh, it's fine.
Okay, whatever. Go ahead, ma'am.
We hear of a lawsuit at Gulf Colony. Does that impact any of what you're telling us here?
So I'm not an attorney,
Well, neither am I.
But what I can tell you is that the attorneys that are involved have not told me that I am inhibited in any way by processing applications. They have not called me and said, "Ken, you have to stop," or anything like that. So that's all I can say about the lawsuit. That basically it's ongoing. But from my perspective, with my applications that I'm filing, I'm still able to proceed with the county process.
And you can proceed with shovel-ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Shovel-ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Until the attorneys tell me that I have to stop,
okay.
we're moving full bore.
And are you going to do this in sequence, like
Yeah.
Lake Worth Road, you do that first, instead of having one bulky
Yes.
site
Yeah.
all over?
I mean,
Just
right. Well, this technically will be the first phase. just south of Lake Worth, just because it's high visibility, it's your market window. So from Mattamy's perspective, this will be the first phase as they start, and they'll progress southward.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
So that progression southward will be all the utilities also in a sequence? So you do utilities, drainage, and that type of thing when you're doing the construction on the first pod? Or are you going to start drainage work
that's a
throughout
very
the
good
facility?
question. I'm not even sure if Tara knows that. She's relatively new at Mattamy, so I don't want to put her on the spot with it. But as far as I understand, the way I understand it, I thought the last time when Mr. Palumbo was here and spoke, he said that there was a point somewhere here where they had to construct their lift station, the new lift station for the property. Since that's the deepest dig, they would start there with putting in the pipes and essentially extend it north. To
So that's sanitary though?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I said, like, I'm not an engineer, but like, I believe that's what he said at one point in time, that the lift station was going to be in this location. So, but yeah, I mean, what they'll do is they won't necessarily prairie build. In other words, they won't like sell homes here, sell homes here, sell homes here. I think what they'll end up doing is they'll sell this phase out and then they'll move on to the next phase with regards to their sales. That's what typically the home builders do, but you know, like I said, I can get additional information from that.
Do you all already have your traffic study done?
Yes, sir.
And that's
sir.
been
The traffic
approved?
study was approved in October, and as part of that approval, some of the conditions of approval that we have to do are we have to extend this turn lane on Lake Worth Road to take the capacity that we're adding to the roadway. So we're going to have to do some work on Lake Worth to extend that turn lane, and then internally on Lucerne Lakes, we have to do another turn lane into this community right here to get the traffic off, out of the way into its own turn lane for safety purposes.
The traffic on Charleston Street is only one way?
No, good question. This first neighborhood, which we call Pod A, has the primary access point on Charleston Street. That's ingress egress. So that means the residents can go in and out here. This access point on Lucerne Lakes is only egress only, which means they can only exit out of that way. So to limit the traffic and the impact on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard. So this is an exit only. You will not have people trying to do U-turn and go in this way.
So that's going to be interesting at that intersection with Lake Worth Road with all the traffic coming from the whole development, merging with traffic out of that pod.
Well, that, like I said, I mean, primarily the way the traffic engineer distributed the traffic is that all the traffic for this neighborhood is going to be going out this way. And like I said, I mean, this neighborhood will have to have a turn lane here to take the impacts of that particular neighborhood as well. So.
And right now, I don't believe we have bus traffic. Is there a bus travel plan?
Yeah,
Traffic plan?
Palm Beach County School District requires bus shelters to be located. We have 3 different bus shelters, one here, and one here. So essentially, the school district requires it. When you have a traditional neighborhood with children, you can't have a community without shelters. They told us, well actually all you folks have told us about the issue about all the kids going out on Lake Worth Road and causing a safety issue out there. So what we told the school district was that, look, that's not a solution anybody wants. We don't want any kids on Lake Worth Road. So when we build this school shelter here, the kids that are there can utilize that shelter from, if the weather is raining or whatever.
So we'll have bus traffic on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard.
Just twice a day. Basically, they'll come down here and they'll do the big giant loop, pick up the kids here, pick up the kids here, exit, and pick up this neighborhood last. That's how the school district made us design it. And the thing that we also looked at is, if necessary, what we've talked conceptually with the school district as well as with, I think, the Master Association, is that if there's room on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard at Lake Worth on a swale area where we can put a bus, pull off, we'll actually install a bus pull off so that way it doesn't stop traffic. But it's only going to do so much just because everybody knows that when the school bus stops, they have the signs and no one can go by. So, but at least at a minimum, we can at least have them pull off if the area is available on this one location.
Okay, one other question. What is your plans on rehabbing Lucerne Lakes Boulevard after construction is complete?
Okay, so we have an agreement in place with the Master Association, and within that agreement, there's dollars allocated at certain phases of the project. And the way the language was crafted is that money will be left at the end for us to basically do repairs, and if they have to fix in any location, well, Palm Beach County won't let us close out the permits without fixing any issues. So that's number one. So
Okay.
if there's potholes that are caused by a developer, Palm Beach County will not release the bond, will not close out the permit until anything is repaired. But, I don't remember the specific language in the agreement, but there is dollars allocated with the contribution for the community improvement agreement with the Master Association towards Lucerne Lakes Boulevard. But in addition to that, there's also language in there that talks about safety, because when we did all these outreach meetings, they dated back to 3 years ago. So we heard a lot of concerns about the fact that people are always speeding on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard. So we've allocated money for Mattamy to hire a traffic engineer to look at the ideal locations to put speed tables, not speed humps, because speed hump, Palm Beach County, I don't think Palm Beach County will issue any permits for speed humps, because they don't do anything except destroy people's cars. So the speed tables, which is basically, you have to come to at least 20 miles an hour to go over a speed hump, otherwise you damage your vehicle. So that's one thing that dollars are allocated within that agreement to look at the increased traffic on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard and provide mitigation. And whether it's flashers, the speed humps, one way or another, the traffic on Lucerne Lakes Boulevard will be addressed.
I lied, one more question.
Well, I gotta get to him.
Yeah, I know. One more. Are there any traffic lights planned?
Traffic lights.
We have none now.
One thing that we will have to do is look at the timing of the traffic light at Lucerne Lakes and Lake Worth Road. But we are not installing any traffic
Okay.
lights internal, no sir.
All right,
No
thanks.
sir. So, yes sir.
So with the traffic study, nobody has ever mentioned what the expected increase in traffic is. How many vehicles per day?
Actually, you know what? That's a good reminder for me. I just passed around a sign-in sheet. So if you could just sign in on that sheet, put in your email address, and if there's something I cannot answer, I will email it to you. So the traffic study is public record, but I won't make you go to the county and try to ask that question. I can email the approved one directly to you. So if you could sign that, that'd be great. And I can, like I said, anything I can't answer, I will email it to all you folks.
Would the application be, would the permit be on the website also like?
Yes. All right. So one thing I do want to talk about the website is that the gentleman that used to manage the website for Mattamy is no longer with the company. So it actually slipped through the cracks, and I apologize for that. But we're going to have another company manage the website. So that way, anytime that I resubmit plans, it'll get posted on that website. So I do apologize about that. And I thought it was being updated, but that's my fault. I didn't ask the question. But the website will now get the updates and we'll get the plans uploaded. Absolutely.
Bob, I can update you on the roadway reconstruction. The plans from the master is, once we know where they're going, because we don't know where they're going to get traffic crossing our roads. They don't know where they're going to be doing that either. When we know that, the plan is the whole road is going to be reconstructed. We're going to take the funds we already have, the funds they're going to be giving us, plus the funds they have built in of the new homeowners to pay for a new road.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point, Ed, because basically the way the agreement's structured is those new residents are going to pay an assessment towards the maintenance of Lucerne Lakes Boulevard. However, they're actually going to be assessed an additional amount towards future safety issues or other improvements. So if this entire community is sold out and everybody's living there, and let's just say for discussion purposes, 15 years down the road, there's one particular intersection that is having a problem, the funds should be in reserve from the additional assessment on the new residents. The new residents will be assessed an additional assessment, not you folks, them only. So they'll be actually, providing additional funds into the reserve for that specific purpose, for safety on Lucerne Lakes. Yes, sir.
I've got a question I was given an answer to a few months ago, told that it would be within specifications of the engineer. I've seen an engineer have a $500,000 project fail twice that I saw was going to fail. So that doesn't mean anything to me. My concern is, I live on hole number 2, the fairway. I was told that the canal there was going to be filled in. The fairway is above our houses. if there is not a proper swale along with drainage tile underneath there, whether it be 2 feet diameter, 3 feet diameter, 6 inches, they're going to cut it, along with drainage, grill work, and whatever, we're going to sustain water damage during a hurricane. Right now, you take a 15-minute downpour out there, and there's standing water on the golf course, on that fairway.
Okay. If I could, and that's actually a very good question too, because now that we're about midstream through the real design process, we've been looking at those areas again, and what I can also do is I can also send the engineering plans to you, all you folks, because basically this area right here is where you're talking about. Okay, we show it as being green here, and the reason why we did that back then in October was because of this same exact issue, was because we didn't know from an engineering perspective how to address the historical drainage patterns. I don't want to go too I'm not an engineer, but I'm going to just give you the, you may recall that when we discussed the project, the engineer had to do an initial drainage study that showed exactly what you said, which is many of the existing residents have historical drainage flows onto the golf course, and actually sheet flow. So in other words, your community is just sheet flow into the golf course, and eventually the golf course makes its way to one of the lakes on the golf course. Well, because of that, our engineer has to design the project to take the drainage of the new community plus those historical drainage patterns. So that's why we've got such large lakes, because basically the lakes take our drainage plus your drainage. So in this case, with this specific location, we showed it as green to give us flexibility to basically take that canal and expand it. So now what's going to happen is that this roadway will be accessing the community. On the west side will be a lake. So now you have more storage, more lake storage to address the exact issue you're talking about. So it's going to be, that canal will expand and become from a ditch to actual legitimate lake.
And where's
So-
the overflow from the lake going to go from?
All the lakes are basically interconnected. Like I said, I haven't seen the engineering design, but the engineer has, what happens is all these lakes are interconnected, okay? By the pipes, under the roadways, within common areas. And what happens is, he takes this and divides it into a couple different basins, okay? So, don't take this as gospel. This is just me being my best engineer, putting my engineer hat on. And he's going to design all of these lakes to outfall into the L12 canal on Lake Worth Road, right? Then everything here, he's going to design to either outfall here to the L13 canal, which bisects, which is right behind the golf course clubhouse, or this canal to the south over here. But primarily, this canal and this canal are going to be the 2 points of outfall. So every lake is interconnected with structures. So when the lakes rise, it goes into a structure, goes into a pipe, into another lake, and then eventually to that canal.
What about the canal? There's actually on Second Fairway, there's 2 canals.
Sir,
There's one east and
I
west.
can send you all the engineering plans. They'll probably answer all your questions. Like I said, I mean, those are very good questions, very detailed questions, and we're at the point where we can actually answer them because our engineer has the designs done. So, yes, sir.
Are they just structures, or is there actual gates for some of those canals and everything? I used to take care of stormwater, one of the stormwater districts. So are there gates or structures? Because if there's gates, then somebody has to physically open those gates.
It's my understanding it's a bleeder. So what it is basically it's a box with a little
Right.
triangular thing. Once it gets to a certain level, it goes to the next
And
pipe.
as long
And
as
then,
everything's cleaned out, you're
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
If it's not cleaned
no.
out, you're in trouble.
But actually, you know what? That's the drainage thing is a very good question because it's going to transition into what Mike is going to talk about tonight. So, because basically the whole system has to work as one system, and so that's the benefit of what Mike's going to talk about, which is a community development district, which eventually will manage that stormwater system. So, with that, that's up to you.
Well, unfortunately, our neighbors suck the water out of that canal to irrigate their lawn.
Okay, and I think that every time we come to this particular community, we've talked about that fact, the commitment that Mattamy made with your association is in the agreement, and it talks specifically about any homeowners that are pulling off any of the ditches or canals. What Mattamy will do is, so when Mattamy designs their irrigation system, the way they're going to design it is they're going to basically have one system which pulls off the lakes. Okay, so it's not going to be potable water, it's going to be pulling off the lakes. And they may actually permit a recharge well as well, which basically a recharge well, they'd have to permit it through the state to refill the lakes, but that's details of it. So what Mattamy committed to in the agreement with your association is any homeowners that are pulling off those will have a main from their irrigation system into your, that'll basically branch off into your lots, and you folks will irrigate your lots off of Mattamy's system. And that's a forced system. It's going to be with a pump and everything, so. Yes, sir.
Is there a date that the golf course is closing?
That I don't know the answer to that. I'm not privy to the contract, but what I'll tell you is that once Mattamy gets their permits, I would think it's right around that time. So in other words, when they get their permits to start putting a shovel in the ground, which like I said, could be late summer, early fall, the golf course will probably end up closing, and the transaction will close, and Mattamy will actually own the land. So, if there's no other questions, I wouldn't mind having Mike just quickly go into his quick presentation, and like I said, I'll still be here at the end of the meeting if you folks have any other questions, but like I said, the sign-in sheet's a very good way for me to send any additional information you folks may have, so, thank you.
Doris, we didn't see.
Oh, sorry.
So the main purpose of the CDD is not it has nothing to do with the approval of the project, the design of the project, any of that stuff. The CDD is simply a financing mechanism that the developer will use to finance the infrastructure improvements. So he's talking about pipes, stormwater drainage, water, sewer, irrigation, roads, all those infrastructure. We're talking ground level and down stuff, not vertical buildings. All that stuff has to be paid for, and the CDD is a way for the developer to pay for it. The good thing, from your guys' standpoint, is as pointed out, there's several benefits to this new infrastructure that's going to help your community, and you guys aren't going to pay a dime for it because the CDD will have a boundary, and the boundary of the CDD is basically just the new development. None of your homes can be included in the new CDD because you weren't in the CDD to begin with. So only the people within the boundary of the CDD, which is just the new development, are going to pay the CDD. The CDD will issue bonds, basically dirt bonds, that will be used to pay for those infrastructure improvements, and then these new residents will pay back those bonds in their tax bills. You guys will never have any of those bills associated with your property. And then it will also be the CDD, similar to how you guys have your meetings, the CDD will have its own meetings, it will have its own board members, it will be appointed by the landowner. Eventually, once the development is more built out and more residents are living there, those, because the CDD is a type of government, those board members will actually go on the local ballot. So anybody who lives in these communities and is registered to vote in the CDD itself, which is just the new development, will vote their people in at the normal November ballots. The CDD will also have an engineer and an attorney that they hire that will make sure that the drainage system is working properly. If it's not, the CDD has to pay. By statute, the CDD will have to go raise money to pay to fix anything that's wrong. So any of the infrastructure that we're putting in for the community that the CDD is going to pay for is going to be either turned over to the county or the city, depending on the type of infrastructure it is. Sometimes the counties and the cities take those over because they're the ones providing the service, or it's going to be maintained by the CDD, and mostly that's going to be the stormwater drainage. The CDDs typically keep the stormwater drainage, so they'll be in charge of making sure the lakes are functioning properly, everything's draining, and if they have to go back and adjust anything to make sure that we're not having any flooding issues, the CDD will be responsible for that. So at the end of the day, basically, the CDD is just there to help put all this stuff in the ground. It's just to pay for all this stuff in the ground, and the only people that are going to pay for it are the new owners. With that said, if there's any questions or concerns that anybody has about the CDD, I'm happy to answer it. Just know that I don't have technical information like Ken had as far as what's being built or anything like that. We're more of a financing arm.
Well, and like I said, look, this probably will not be the last time that we're doing this again. We've been going to all the HOAs and giving them updates. If anything, one of the things that came up at one of our last meetings was, hey, I want to look at the landscape plans. And so we left them a copy of the landscape plans that we had done. We're still working on those plans right now because we're adjusting them because of all the utilities and all the other comments we're getting from Palm Beach County. So at some point in the future, again, we'll be before you folks again, and we'll let you know the status of the application, and then if we have those landscape plans, we will post them on the internet and get them on the website again, and get that up and running, and also address any specific questions you have, so.
A quick question,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know you know the answer, about setback. If my property ends here, and I have the golf course, the golf carts go right by my patio, what is the setback from my property line?
Did you sign the sign-in sheet? Because I can actually look at your view, look at where your house is, and I can send you a snip from the plan and show you, because one of the things that did occur last fall, not to go into too much detail, but before we went to county commissioners, we did a lot to this plan. We removed townhouses in certain locations, we increased the buffers. In certain areas, the buffer is 20 feet in width. So we've doubled our buffers in certain locations, so that way we can provide maximum separation. So now, what started off as maybe a 10-foot buffer in the beginning is now a 20-foot buffer. So if you tell me your home is here, I can give you an exact dimension of how wide that landscape buffer is going to be. So. But like I said, in most cases, you're going to have the buffer, which could be 15 to 20 feet, and then you have the rear setback for the home, so you're talking about 50 feet maybe from the property line. So once they start construction too, they'll have everything staked, which will really start giving you folks an idea of where everything's going to start going. Obviously, the one thing that Mattamy did commit to at the Board of County Commission meeting was the first phase that they're going to be doing is the landscape buffers. So they're going to be installing all the perimeter landscape buffers, which is the tracks in between you folks and the new community right off the bat. And the reason being twofold. One, just to block your views and give you the privacy you need. And two, also to aid the dust. We know that construction is going to be a lot of dust, but the landscape buffers and the plant materials in between the properties will help with
And you don't work on Sundays, right?
yeah, they actually committed to specific times at Board of County Commission. They didn't let us leave until we committed to, I can give you the exact time, but
on Sundays.
yeah, no Sundays, yeah. So I think it's already in Palm Beach County code that you can't work on Sundays.
They're not going to put a light at Charleston, are they?
There's already a light there by the fire station. I think it's a blinker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just where the fire truck is. There's a light there.
It's not directly at the fire station, it's up further along.
Okay, no, but we're not going to put a light specifically for our traffic, no. So, if anything, I don't even, they can't make a left turn out here because the roadway is striped for emergency purposes only. Only the fire trucks can make that left turn movement.
Right.
If our folks did that, that's illegal. It's an illegal left turn. So I appreciate it. Thanks for putting me at the end of your agenda. And like I said, we'll be back before you folks in the next couple months or so as we progress with the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank